Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and welcome to this webinar between Evolva, Eurofins, and Champion on veri-te resveratrol, responsible ingredient backed by human clinical studies. So I'm Jean-Philippe Meyer. I'm in charge of regulatory affairs here at Evolva. I've been with the company for the last 17 years. And without further ado, let's start. So Evolva is a biotech leader based in Switzerland in the Basel area. And we make, among other ingredients, our veri-te resveratrol. So since 2010, we have been in the area of precision fermentation that allows us to make sustainable, scalable, and stable ingredients. Those ingredients, for the time being, we are making, as you can see on the left side of the slide, we are making resveratrol, vanillin, valencen, nutcatone, and L-arabinose, and we also made in the past, but we sold it to Cargill, Eversweet, which is a stevia glucoside. We apply our ingredients in 3 market segments: health ingredients, flavor and fragrances, as well as health protection. And we should add that our way of making our ingredient is rather environmentally friendly. What we do is what is called precision fermentation, which allows us to have a sustainable source for our ingredients. To start, we use only yeast, water, sugar, salts, as well as vitamins. The yeast we use is a modified baker's yeast. We do fermentation. Once our ingredient is manufactured by this fermentation process, we purify it until we have a highly pure ingredient. We don't use any harsh solvents. The only solvents that we use is water and ethanol. We don't use any harmful chemicals, and we don't use any catalysts, heavy metals, etc., etc.
Sorry, JP?
Yes.
Allow me to interrupt and make a very short interpretation of what you just said.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you go back to the second page? OK， 好，各位线上的朋友，大家好，我是成品公司国外部的负责人，我叫 Lucas。那今天跟我一起参加这场会议的还有我们研发部的负责人 Red。那我们会在会议当中呢，简单为各位提供一个翻译，那协助各位了解讲师所讲的内容。那刚刚跟我们介绍开头的是 Jean-Philippe Meyer， 他是 Evolva 的法规部门的副总。那他在 Evolva 草创时期就已经加入这家公司，直到今年为止是他第17年在这家公司。然后简单介绍一下 Evolva 是来自瑞士巴泽的一家生技公司。那大家对瑞士的印象呢，不外乎有厉害的银行业，然后有厉害的发达的旅游业，巧克力很好吃。不过大家可能不知道，瑞士的另外一面是有许多制药还有生技公司把研发的中心都设在瑞士，甚至是设在巴泽的这个地方。举例来说，像 Lonza、GSK 他们的研发总部都在巴泽这里。那 Evolva 呢，也把总部设在巴泽的生技园区。Next page, please. Evolva 最自豪的是所谓的 precision fermentation 精密发酵技术。那透过这种技术呢，它可以制造不只是我们今天所讨论的白藜蘆醇这项产品。我们同时也在制造像白藜蘆、香草醛、L-arabinose、阿拉伯糖，或是跟 Cargill 合作的甜菊，都可以透过这项精密发酵技术来达到永续、容易量产，还有制程稳定的制造。那 Evolva 所 生产的产品总共有3个不同的面向。首先是健康食品，像我们今天的主题白藜芦醇，然后再来是香料 flavor， 然后最后是 health protection， 就是外用的一些产品。那这些产品呢，都是友善环境，可以永续经营下去的。Next slide, please. 好，那这边简单说明一下所谓的精密发酵是什么。在精密发酵的这个制程当中呢，我们投入的原料其实非常简单，只有酵母、水、糖、盐巴，还有时候会投入一些维他命，根据产品的不同而来决定。那中间呢，就是酵母会经过发酵嘛，发酵之后产生我们所希望它产出的物质，然后最后经过一个简单的纯化，所得到终端产品。那在这个制程中呢，我们不会使用溶剂，不会使用有害的化学物质，也不会使用催化剂。Okay, please proceed.
But I think from there on, it's going to be Marsha.
Okay.
Yes, I can. If you can change the slides for me, thanks.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. So it's a pleasure to join here in this webinar. My name is Marcia. I'm the Senior Technical Manager and responsible for the clinical studies and scientific support here at Evolva. And what I'm going to take you through is some slides talking about the science and also our proprietary studies with veri-te. Okay, so here I'll just make an introduction that some of you may know resveratrol, but some may not. So just for you to know a little bit or recap, resveratrol is that compound that was initially thought to be present just in wine because it was linked to the French paradox. So the French paradox, all this story was about the French having Jean-Philippe is not like that, that I talk about the French. A diet that was full of fat, smoking, but they were drinking wine, and there was a low incidence of cardiovascular problems in the French population. So, of course, nowadays we know that's much beyond that story, but that was the beginning and all the interest that came to resveratrol. And of course, at the beginning as well, resveratrol was discussed more as an antioxidant compound, trying to explain why this low incidence of cardiovascular problems. But we will see later that's beyond that.
OK， 好，接下来接手的是 Evolva 的Marcia， 那有参加我们7月底成品公司在台北生技展所举办的研讨会的朋友，可能有见过 Marcia， 她是Evolva 的资深技术总监。好，那这张图影片要告诉大家的是白藜芦醇怎么被大家发现还有注意到。其实最一开始是因为一个叫做法国悖论的东西。那我不知道大家有没有听过，就是在大概40年代的时候，科学家觉得很奇怪的一件事是，为什么法国人啊喝这么多酒，吃这么多很肥的东西，然后又抽这么多烟，但是他们心血管疾病发生的比例却相对的这么低。那透过一些科学的研究发现，应该是因为红酒里面呢含有大量的白藜芦醇，那白藜芦醇呢可以被用来作为一个抗氧化剂，然后减少细胞的损伤。不过当然，随着科技的进步，还有随着这几十年来科学的发展，我们也渐渐认识到白藜芦醇其实不只是一个抗氧化剂，它有更多不同的对人体的功效。那我们会在接下来的内容呢，跟各位一一的分享。
So next.
Yeah.
So here is just to show to you, of course, you can imagine after the French paradox, there was a huge interest in resveratrol and how also we look into the science. So we know that nowadays there are more than 35 million hits in Google search. So searches around the resveratrol and resveratrol benefits. But we look at the number of total number of studies, and we see here more than 17,000. But of course, when we talk about the level of scientific evidence, and this is what I want to show you here, how we look into the science, that for us is this on the right side, the pyramid, where we look at the top of the pyramid, looking at the randomized clinical studies or the meta-analysis. So meta-analysis are the compilation of clinical studies, and then we see if there is really an effect when you combine many different clinical studies. So for us, it's very important to look at this top of the pyramid, and that's why also it's so important to have clinical studies that they bring more level of scientific evidence if a compound has really an effect or not.
那这个数字我想应该是截至那个7月底为止，就是如果你上 Google 搜寻啊 resveratrol 或是 resveratrol benefits， 就白藜芦醇或是白藜芦醇的好处呢，你可以发现总共有超过3500万次的搜寻次数，就代表了世界各式各样的国家、各式各样的消费者对这个原料多么感兴趣。然后再来是我们回顾一下从以前到现在所累积的有关白藜芦醇的研究数量，就可以发现总研究数量呢已经来到了17000多篇哦。然后刚刚 Marcia 想要告诉各位的是，当然研究数量这么多篇，并不代表不是什么具体的，没有什么具体的代表性。我们应该要看的是，比如说人体临床研究有几篇，系统性回顾有几篇，还有综合分析到底有几篇。因为你越往上看，人体临床研究、系统性回顾、综合性分析是越来越严谨的一个架构，所以光是人体临床就有接近300篇，系统性回顾达到168，然后综合性分析总共全球加起来有70几篇，都在探讨，都不断的证实，白藜芦醇对人体是有帮助的。
Okay, next. Yeah. So now we have an overview of all the benefits. So you can imagine 17,000 studies, more than 270 clinical studies. There was a huge interest in studying resveratrol and for many health benefits. So we really say that resveratrol is a multifunctional ingredient. And you can see here just few examples of areas which have studies supporting the benefit of resveratrol. For example, cognitive support, oral health, cardiovascular health. That's not surprise, taking into account the French paradox. Gut microbiota, more and more coming studies in this area, skin care as well. And then we are going to talk a little bit more into details on this, but you can imagine talking about antioxidants. So that was the beginning of all the studies. But glucose regulation, eye health, bone strength. So there are many, many health benefits reported for resveratrol.
好，那这张图秀给大家看的就是在前面提到的这么多研究里面呢，到底研究了什么？其实除了我们在最一开始提到的心血管健康以外呢，包含了认知、口腔、肠道，还有最新，等一下 Marcia 会分享的一波把自己做的一个有关护肤的临床。一直到血糖的调节啦、眼睛的健康啦，或是骨骼的强度，这些都是有被研究并证实有效的。那稍后呢，会稍微跟大家分享几篇Evoba自己做的临床报告。
So, but of course, some of you may ask, so if resveratrol can do all these benefits, but how can that be possible? You know, maybe perhaps it doesn't work because if you look at the beginning, as I explained to you from the French paradox, that was an antioxidant compound, you cannot explain all those previous benefits that I just showed if you just explain as a matter of antioxidant capacity. So, and that's why we explain to customers, and we brought this together. There are different mechanisms of action that are happening all at the same time. So beyond the antioxidant capacity, of course, so resveratrol is considered one of the most potent activators of SIRT1. And SIRT1 is related to the longevity gene. Actually, nowadays, we know that beyond longevity, SIRT1 or the sirtuins, they are related to many different mechanisms, including even bone health. So resveratrol also is a very potent vasoactivator. So it increases the blood flow to the body, to the brain, and we'll see few data later on. Also is an activator of AMPK. So this is related to the energy metabolism. And if you think about mitochondrial biogenesis with aging, so the mitochondria stops working as should work, and resveratrol has an effect. So we can just explain all those previous benefits if we look into resveratrol beyond an antioxidant compound. And this is the message here, that there are different mechanisms and all happening at the same time.
大家好，我是宸品有限公司。那我简单跟大家分享一下这张投影片是在说什么。那很多人会想要去了解说白藜醇是怎么去发挥它的作用。那这边图法它提出了3个机制。那第一个是大家都很清楚，像白藜醇它是一个很强力、然后很知名的一个多酚类嘛，是一个抗氧化剂，所以它可以去清除身体里面的自由基，那去减少氧化压力造成的损伤。那第2个机制讲到这个激活 SIRT1， 那这个 SIRT1 呢，它被称为长寿基。它所表达的这个蛋白质呢，是一种身体里面很重要的酵素。那它会去负责调控一些跟长寿，还有一些如何健康老化相关的一些基因的表现。那这个 SIRT1 啊，根据一些研究显示，如果在实验生物当中把它剔除掉的话，这些实验生物他们会提早的老化，甚至会有这种早夭的现象发生。那反之呢，如果这个SIRT1它表现的强的话，这些实验生物他们会比较长寿，而且可以比较健康的老化。所以这个SIRT1的这个蛋白应该是长寿蛋白。那这个就是它的第2个。那再来第3个，激活 AMPK。那 AMPK 它也是我们生物体内一个很重要的酵素，它主要就是负责去调控细胞能量平衡。那通常呢，这个 AMPK 它被激活会是在身体需要能量的情况之下，比方说是在剧烈的运动之后。那在这种情况之下，身体会需要能量，所以它可以去调控这个葡萄糖吸收，甚至呢，它可以去从这个平常不会去取得能量来源的这个脂肪，它要去燃烧脂肪。所以这边可以看到说，它会去跟减重有点关系。那过去呢，可能你需要去大量的运动来激活 AMPK， 但是现在你可以靠着这些保健食品来激活它。然后Marcia 就讲到，它的这个机制是共同去发挥它的作用的。那顺带一提，白藜醇在等一下的实验大家可以看到，因为它可以去增加血液的流动，那也就是说可以把这些氧气还有营养物质去运输到我们身体所需要的这些细胞当中，是把这些不要的废物也把它带走，就是增加了整体的新陈代谢。OK， Marcia next。
So, of course, until now, we discussed resveratrol, so the overall science of resveratrol to understand a little bit of the mechanisms of action. But now we go more into the preparatory studies, as I mentioned at the beginning. So we have our own clinical studies to support the benefits for veri-te. And you see here just a of the 13 clinical studies that we have in different areas, including women's health and skin health, that I'm going to show a little bit more information during this webinar. So these clinical studies including men and women in various ages, with a total of more than 750 participants in different locations. So we have studies in Canada, Brazil, UK, Denmark, and Australia. Partnerships as well. So this is very, very important for us. So for the clinical studies, usually we partner with key opinion leaders, expert academics that are recognized in their area, or with clinical research organizations which are specialized in some topics. So this is the overview, very important for us, as I mentioned before, to really support with high level of scientific evidence. So in this case, a verite.
那么这张投影片呢，就是在告诉大家 ，eVova 他们自己本身也在进行的一些临床研究有哪些。那这边有提到，目前的话有13项临床研究。那所研究的题目呢，就包括像女性健康、男性健康和认知健康等等这些，我都不念了。那包含了这个层面也非常的广，男女都有，那有不同的年龄层。那整体参加这些临床研究的实验者已经超过了750名。那并且呢是在分散在全球、全世界各地都有这些参与者参与，包括像加拿大啦、巴西、丹麦、澳大利亚等等。那同时呢，eVova也会跟这些右边这边看到的都是全球知名的一些国际的临床研究组织去跟我们合作来完成这些研究。可以。
So as mentioned before, I'm going to show from now, so 2 studies. This first study is in women's health, so postmenopausal women. And this is a very important study for resveratrol science and for us as well, because this is the largest and longest clinical study on resveratrol supplementation. So using verite, 125 women, 60 plus, so they were postmenopausal, and they received 2 times 75 milligrams per day during 12 months. So this study, the RESHAW, so resveratrol for healthy aging in women, won the Nutra Ingredients Asia Awards in 2020 as the best research project, and all the results were published in 4 articles. And the authors, so they looked into resveratrol as a vasoactivator, having an effect, potential effect in cognitive performance, bone formation, and quality of life.
那接下来呢，我们要开始跟大家介绍这些相关的临床研究。那首先要告诉大家就是呢，这个叫做 RESHA 的临床研究呢，就是这个 Respiratory Supporting Health Aging in Women 这个 R， 这个 RESHA 它是目前在使用白藜蘆醇补充品所进行的最大还有最长的临床研究。那它是关于这个比较偏向于更年期后的这些女性，那总共有125位的女性参与这个实验，都是大概在60岁以上。那实验为期1年。那它的这个实验剂量就是跟我们台湾的法规一样，就是每天是150毫克是这个上限。那这个最大最长的临床实验呢，已经有在这个实验已经发表了4篇相关的 paper。那主要的探讨的部分呢，就是像右边这边讲到的一些血管的弹性啊，或者是一些认知功能，还有密度的改善，还有整体改善这些跟其后女性她们生活品质的一些研究。OK。
So now what I'm going to show a few of the results. Of course, you can imagine that a long study like this, there are lots and lots of results, but I'm going to show you some of them. Here, looking into the improvement in the cerebral blood flow. And remember that one of the is that resveratrol is a potent vasoactivator, and the authors, they could see this, the improvement on the elasticity, so the blood vessels, and also the blood flow velocity. And later on, I'm going to show also the results where they really correlate this to the improvement on the cognition.
好，那我们接着看，首先第一个部分呢，就是提升认知和脑血管的功能。那根据研究呢，白藜醇它可以去提升这个认知嘛，那就可以关联到我们前面所讲的，因为它提升了整体的这个血流速度嘛。那不只是身体也包括在整个大脑在运作前面，一些血流速度都有明显的提升。所以呢，右边这边的图表就可以看到说，不管是收缩期啊，或者是舒张期，还有分配血流速度，在12个月后嘛，都比安慰剂还要来的这个速度是比较快的。那在血管弹性部分也有明显的改善。对，那这些都是归于在这个脑袋运作期间啊，这个大脑整个血流啊，还有这个血管质量改善的。OK。
And as I mentioned, so then the next result is that they could see that improvement in the cerebral blood flow that was correlated to improvement in the cognitive performance. And here, this is what the graph is showing. So an improvement on overall cognition of more than 33%. So you could see that these women, these were questionnaires, the standardized questionnaires, of course, validated, that they had to answer and related to some tests, cognitive tests. And you see here improvement as well in the processing speed, the language, the cognitive flexibility, and the verbal memory.
那这边一样在讲这个认知的部分。那我们直接看右边的图表，就是有补充这个白藜醇这些实验的参与者啊，他们的整体的认知能力，还有他们在这个处理速度啊，还有语言的组织能力上面啊，还有整个认知的灵活性啊，跟这个言语的这个记忆呢，都会比他们补充的1年之前还要来的改善非常的明显。有这个7% 到33% 不等之间，那这边就可以呼应到左边这边提到的，它有机会是去逆转这个认知能力多达到10岁这么多。OK。
So other parameters that the researchers, they looked into, and this is a big complaint of menopausal women, is related to these menopausal symptoms related to pain perception, hot flashes, sleep disturbance. So the researchers, they used, of course, validated questionnaires to assess, comparing to placebo, but also comparing to baseline, what happened in these parameters. And what you can see here is the improvement of overall well-being. A decrease in pain perception, decrease in menopausal symptoms, and of course, increase in the overall well-being. And this is obvious because, of course, if the person feels less pain, sleep better, and this, of course, leads to an improvement of the well-being. And also, one parameter that's important, and they also explain that resveratrol is a phytoestrogen. Of course, in the postmenopausal women, there is a decrease on the estrogen levels, and resveratrol as a phytoestrogen could improve some of these symptoms as behaving as a phytoestrogen.
那接着呢，我们来看到的是白藜醇是怎么去改善这个所谓的分离期症状。那根据这个研究呢，白藜醇它可以去改善这个整体的疼痛的感知，还有像这些更年期症状，比方说像心悸啦，或者是一些忧郁啊，或者是一些睡眠的障碍。那 这些呢会用一个问卷的方式来跟这些受试者去做调查。那从右边这边呢，可以看到跟这个安慰剂组还有跟这个补充前补充的比较，我们可以发现这些受试者补充白藜醇的这些受试者，他的整体疼痛感知都明显的下降。那这些跟其的症状呢也都有改善，所以呢对他们这些整体的健康都有明显的，他们自己的认知上会觉得越来越健康这样子。那这边要特别提到，就是白藜芦醇呢，它其实也是一种植物性的雌激素，就跟我们大家可能比较熟悉的大胃王酮都是差不多的一个例子。就是这些更年期的女性呢，她们在更年期过后，这个体内的雌激素会分泌的比较少了一些。那这个时候呢，这些比较弱的这些植物雌激素，它就可以去弥补这些身体里面分泌比较少的一些雌激素，去达到一些更年期症状的改善。OK。
And here as well, so showing a little bit more about the menopausal symptoms, so depressive symptoms that decrease, the sleep disturbance that also were improved. So the mood or more depressive mood, so it's a very common complaint from postmenopausal women as well. And here you can see that the daily supplementation decreased these symptoms.
那这边就是其实我刚上一章就有提到了，因为在这些更年期症状里面，其实最常见的就是会有一些忧郁的情况，那他们甚至也会有一些就是睡不好的情况啊。那根据这个实验的调查，白藜醇都可以改善这些忧郁啊或者是睡眠障碍的情况发生。可以 next。
One of the other parameters that the researchers they looking into was the bone mineral density. Of course, with the lower levels of estrogen in these postmenopausal women, so there is a higher risk of bone mineral loss. And what we see here in these graphs is that really the CTX resorption marker decreased. So it means that there is less bone loss. And also what they could see is comparing to the placebo that there was better outcome for the main points that are at risk for bone fracture, like the femoral neck and the lumbar spine. Another interesting observation that the researchers they had was that a certain group, a subgroup of women that were also taking vitamin D and calcium had better effect. So the researchers conclude that there is a possibility of a synergistic effect between veri-te, calcium, and vitamin D.
OK， 那这些女性呢，在更年期过后，由于雌激素分泌的不足，那她们特别可能会有一些骨骼受到骨折啊，或者是伤害的这些风险。那根据这篇研究呢，我们先看到右边这张图首先有一个叫做 CTX 的这个 marker， 这个 marker 通常都是在有骨质疏松或者是骨骼相关疾病的时候，它会比较大量的表现。那我们可以从这个图中看到呢，这些有补充白藜醇的这些受试者跟安慰剂比起来，它的这个 marker 就是有显著的下降。那反之呢，他们的这个活密度的部分呢，都有明显的这些安慰剂还要来的稍微再高了一些，包括像这个头骨颈骨啊，在大概大腿髋部这边，还有腰椎骨这些活密度都有明显的改善。那巴斯亚这边也讲到，白藜醇呢，当它跟维生素 B 还有在钙一起去使用的时候，这个效果会更显著。Okay, next.
So the previous slides were the results for the postmenopausal women. So another topic that we also have recently concluded a clinical study is regarding skin health. So as I mentioned before, resveratrol has been used in lots of topical applications for skin care, mainly related to the antioxidant properties. But nowadays, as I mentioned, we know that there is much beyond the antioxidant claims. So what we have done is ran a clinical study with 140 women, 40 plus. These women, they received, it's a big study where they received creams and capsules, in this case, with active. So what happens is our main objective was to really demonstrate that resveratrol, as the only active ingredient in capsules or cream, had an effect for the skin appearance. This was a placebo-controlled study. We had different arms, and arms where the participants received capsules with veri-te and also cream with Juneo. So Juneo, it's our resveratrol for the cosmetic application.
OK， 那接下来我们来讲这个皮肤健康的这一块。那这部分呢，我们当时候在研讨会其实并没有讲太多。那现在如果他们稍微透露一点细节出来，那我们等一下会看到，除了这个抗患能力之外，其实白藜醇它可以去在临床上证明它可以对皮肤可以保护皮肤、改善它皮肤的弹性啊、保湿，还有减少这些皱纹的情况。那这个实验呢，总共有140位40岁以上的女性参加。那这边特别讲到一个叫做 Juneo， 这个是属于eVova的化妆品级的白藜醇。那这篇实验当中呢，这些受试者他们不但会收到这个Juneo 它所做成这个霜外用的霜，那他们也会得到这个内服的胶囊。就是这个实验可以看到说有内服也有外用，那其实这两个不管是内服还是外用，这个效果其实都非常好。OK， next。
So, and what I will show to you now, actually, the study has been completed. We are working on the results, but I just want to take the chance of showing you a sneak peek before we really launch what we call the in and on or inside and out concept next week during Supply Side West. We'll be present there at Supply Side West in Vegas, and we will show more about the results and even the concept as a box, okay? But for now, for the purpose of the webinar, so what I want to show to you is that before the clinical, actually, we also ran a ex vivo, so skin biopsy study, because we didn't know which was the best concentration to use in the cream. If you look at the literature, there are lots and lots of studies you can imagine on skincare and resveratrol, but it's very difficult to find one clinical study where resveratrol is the only active in the formulation. So we ran this ex vivo study that you can see the graph here on the left, looking at more than 20 genes related to skin aging, skin pigmentation. Here I'm just showing you one of the results related to the effect of Juneo that we are talking about topical application, and you see the effect on different concentrations. On the right side, so you have the results from the clinical study that I just explained, the design. And you can see here actually what we call the inside out or in and on concepts, Juneo plus veri-te. So these women that were receiving the topical cream with Juneo and the veri-te capsules, and a decrease in wrinkle score and number of approximately 12%. So this is just for you to have an idea. Of course, we have much more data, and this will be shared later on, but also shown next week if some of you are attending Supply Side West.
Hello.
Yes.
Sorry, everybody. Our connection was down for 1 minute. 不好意思，我们刚刚网络有一点状况。给我一点时间。Marcia, have you done introducing this slide?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll make a short interpretation.
Yeah.
刚刚提到的这个部分呢，因为呢这个研究才刚刚做完，然后数据才刚刚统计完。eVova 呢是打算要在下个礼拜 Supply Side West 在 Las Vegas 的一个展会上面发表的，所以它其实没有办法告诉我们太多讯息，但是为了这一次的研讨会呢，破例分享给我们2张图，就这2张图。好，首先呢是左边这一张图，左边这张图呢是细胞实验。因为我们并不清楚应该要用什么样的浓度，所以先在实验室做一个细胞实验来测试说，当我把白藜芦醇放到 cream， 就是我们的乳液当中的话，放多少的浓度效果会最好 ？OK， 那可以明显的看到放1%的效果是最好的嘛，所以呢。得到这个结论之后，我们移到了右边，进行了实际上的临床试验，就是前面有介绍到的这个总共是140位女性，那年龄大概是40岁以上，做了一个56天的实验。然后这个实验当中呢，大家会拿到1罐乳液。跟1袋胶囊 ，OK， 那乳液里面呢就含了1%的白藜芦醇，那胶囊里面呢就放了75毫克的白藜芦醇 ，OK， 所以受试者呢会每一天使用乳液，还有每一天吃2颗的胶囊。那我们可以看到最显著的改善呢，就来自于乳液跟口服都有使用白藜芦醇的这一组受试者。那当然，只有用白藜芦醇乳液或只有吃白藜芦醇胶囊的受试者呢，他的皮肤的状况也是有改善，不过最大的差异是来自于双管齐下的这一组。OK。
Okay, so what I have shown to you, so just a sneak peek, as I mentioned before, there are 13 clinical studies, but we showed just the results of 2 clinical studies, and you think that, oh, it just works for women. No, actually, for veri-te as well, as I mentioned before in one of the 13 clinical studies, so we have also effects for bone health in men as well. So we do have different clinical studies in men as well. So here there are 3 different grades that we are focusing today to show to you the possibilities of formulations. So the veri-te food grade, so more than 98%. And as I mentioned before, our resveratrol for the cosmetic grade, so Juneo, but also not only humans benefit, but also the pets. In this case, we also, if you are interested for animal health, we have veri-te pets.
Lucas?
I think it looks like Lucas is having problems.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, Lucas. You can go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just finish this slide. Thank you.
刚刚 Marcia 特别提到呢，我们前面所分享的研究，大部分都是女性受试者。那各位男士也不用气馁，因为eVova做的其他研究，当然也包含了男性的受试者。比如说有一些研究呢，做骨质疏松、骨质密度 的 study 也证实了在男性受试者上是有用的，所以其实这个原料呢，并不是女性的专利，这是大家都可以服用的。然后这边稍微跟大家提一下，我们白藜芦醇呢总共有3个等级，不是说3个等级啊，3个规格。首先是食品级98%的 veri-te， 然后再来是化妆品级99%的 Junio， 最后一个是宠物等级的宠物用的98%的 veri-te。那这些呢，都是现在可以已经 commercialize 已经可以提供的。
And here just showing to you some, there are some of the prototypes that we have prepared with veri-te to really show the possibilities. There are different possibilities. Maybe you're going to think capsules, but beyond capsules, we have prepared ourselves, for example, gummies, powder sachets, or chocolates. But we also have customers, so worldwide, adding, first of all, the veri-te logo, because they believe that this is going to bring a differentiation for them in their products. And here you see few examples like this cardio blend. It's coffee infused with veri-te in the US. You have also capsules in Europe, in Germany, or just the powder pouch, or beverages, or ready to mix powder sachets, and you have worldwide launches with veri-te.
OK， 那这里跟大家分享一下，虽然白藜芦醇是一个粉状的原料，但是它可以应用的范围非常广，包含了各位可能有从我们这边拿到白藜芦醇的巧克力，还有白藜芦醇的 sachet 以外呢，在荧幕中间上方，从上排左边数来第3个，那是白藜芦醇咖啡，它也可以放在咖啡粉里面。然后右下角那个是在巴西上市的白藜芦醇饮料，然后它的旁边呢是白藜芦醇的类似 paste 的这种液体的保健品，然后最右上角那个是直接一整袋粉末，然后你可以它里面附一个汤匙，你可以自由的加在你的食物里面。那这边都是各位可以参考的应用技巧。
Okay, me again. A few characteristics, physical and chemical characteristics of our resveratrol. As Marsha already mentioned, the purity is always higher than 98% for veri-te and 99% for Juneo. We have a 5 years shelf life with the corresponding studies, so we can prove it. It can be kept at room temperature. And the dose recommended in Taiwan, for example, is 150 milligrams per day. In addition to that, we have also stability of our resveratrol in different media. We have shown that it's stable at 80 degrees for 6 hours, 15 minutes at 100 degrees, 30 minutes at 88 degrees. It's resistant to acid, neutral, and alkaline media, so it can be included in different drinks, beverages, and foods. And it's also resistant to ultra-high temperature for a very short period of time if you want to pasteurize or sterilize your ingredients and drinks and foods.
这里简单介绍我们这一支白藜芦醇的规格首先是大家都知道纯度98%，然后它的效期是5年，那可以常温保存，不需要冷藏。再来是台湾的建议剂量，刚刚有提到是每天150毫克。OK， 接下来可以承受的加工条件里面，这些是根据我们的经验所列出来的条件了。那如果各位有不同于上面所写的，欢迎随时找我们讨论。
Okay, very important to us is to show that our resveratrol has been approved in a lot of places. It's been approved first in Europe and the USA. It's been approved in a lot of other countries over the last 10 years. And we can obviously provide the list. It's vegan, it's halal, kosher, it's GMO free. It's manufactured under GMP condition in facilities that are all located in Europe under FSSC 22000 norms, so the highest possible food norms. Another important point is that if you work with veri-te and Evolva, you will get our full support, meaning that we can provide you obviously with the clinical studies, we can provide you with the logo, but also we can provide you with help in how to formulate your ingredient, and we can provide you with different statements for your customers. For example, analytics on the fact that it's pesticide free, that it doesn't contain heavy metals, that it doesn't contain polyaromatic hydrocarbons, etc., etc. So we have lots of certificates, we have lots of statements that are available. And if we don't have either the statements or the analysis, we can always try to do the analysis and provide the statements to you and your customers as needed. Lucas.
好，我们的白藜芦醇呢，有上面列出的这些认证不管是 Halal Kosher、GMO Free，都是可以提供的。再来是下面其他资源的部分 ，logo 是可以使用，只要通过 Evolva 的审核就可以放在你的产品包装上面。然后13篇临床报告、10篇的专利都是可以提供给各位参考。那最后还有一项是各式各样的声明书呢。如果你有需求，也欢迎提出。有的话，当然都可以给；如果没有的话呢 ，Evolva 也愿意为各位做检测，然后提供相对应的回答。
Okay, and I think that concludes our presentation, and we are obviously open to questions and hopefully be able to provide you the answers you want. Thanks a lot for your attention, and please go ahead and ask questions.
JP, I think we'll hold on to the Q&A session at the end. We'll go on to the next part due to the time. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation.